Hi, I'm Rick Conlow. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about 7 tips for hiring the best people. You know, the best managers always have the best people. But one of the things I've noticed lately in corporate America is that a lot of managers are taken out of the hiring process. They have recruiters and all these people to help them with the selection process, and they're not as involved as they have been in the past. And I want to say to you, you need to be involved. You need to interview your own people. You need to be in the process of selecting your team. Because you get to know them, they get to know you, and it set up high performance through that hiring process. We're going to look at 3 things here quickly today. Understand the effects of a bad hire. We're going to look at what an ideal candidate does, and then I'll give you those 7 tips. How does that sound? Good. Let's get into it. All right, so 5 common problems with the selection. We hire too quickly. Important information is missed. We misinterpret information. We have biases and stereotypes, and we have the halo horn effect. So it's like this, we got a hole. We know we're missing a person. We got to get somebody. It's like first person that can breathe, and let's get them on the team, right? No, we need to take the time, and we need to go through a good interview process. I always recommend at least 3 interviews. Yourself, other people on your team, outside person, maybe it's someone from the HR department helping out. So make sure we don't misinterpret information and that our own biases and stereotypes don't get in the way. We all have them. For example, we may be real stickler on being on time, and the person comes 3 minutes late and we're going, oh, can't hire this person. Hey, with the traffic in most cities today, you can be late even when you leave early. It can happen like that. And the halo horn effect is sometimes we allow one thing, good or bad, affect our whole decision. And if we have other people involved in our hiring problems or process, it won't be a problem. So, better hiring affects the bottom line. And you'll see here that there's lots of things that can improve on. Of course, you reduce turnover, improve morale, improve teamwork, improve productivity, improve your time management. You don't have to be hiring all the time, so you can invest your time in other priorities. Improve the quality of your training, increase profit and customer satisfaction. Lots of research to back this all up. I want to share one with you that we came across, the company we worked with. According to research, U.S. Department of Labor, 92.5% of employees' salary is what it costs to recruit and train them. So that's significant dollars when we have to bring somebody on board. So if someone's average salary is $68,000, you have a turnover rate of 27% for 100 employees. If you do the math, real quickly, it's $2.3 million. This is an actual case in a company that I worked with. So that's how much. Now, if you can reduce that from 27% down to 17% or 15%, you're saving real dollars on the bottom line. And then the other thing is, if you've got a department where there's a revolving door, and by the way, if you have a revolving door in a department, it's a sign of a leadership problem. You may have to look at what you're doing and the impact it has on the team. It could also be a sign that you're not paying enough for the market. So you got to consider both of those. But it affects productivity and customer service and morale of the team when you have turnover. So anyway, that's quickly to look at those kinds of things. Now, the ideal candidate. What do you want to look for in someone? Now, I come up with these items here only from experience. I've hired lots of people over the years in sales and management and service. And, the number one thing you want to look for is job match. Do they have the experience and the background that you're looking for in this position? And of course, you got to know that. You got to do your homework. They've shown a pattern in past performance that they excel. They do a good job. Past performance is a good predictor, in most cases, not all, for future performance. Have they shown achievement, won awards, accomplished things, achieved goals? Can they show you that on the application and resume? Does it also show a work ethic? For example, maybe they worked 2 jobs once in their career. They went to college, worked part-time, earned their way through. Or maybe in the interview process they say, well, I put in 60 hours to get this done, and here's what I did. Do they ask you good questions? Yes, you're going to ask them good questions, but do they have some for you? Now, I had one candidate that had 52 questions for me. That was way too many. He didn't get the job. And then do they come out and say, I want it? Do they somehow say they really want to work you? They've done their homework. They know about your business. And then some people get a little wary of this, the personal characteristics. And it's how they answer a question. It's their timeliness. It's their manners. It's their communication. how they, describe working with others. Are they critical or are they diplomatic and constructive? You see what I'm saying about this? That's what I'm looking at here. I often say, when you wouldn't mind having them over for family dinner. That's just a thought in your mind to be able to keep in track of. So anyway, here's a few things to consider related to looking at the ideal candidate. So now, what are the interviewing tips? Number one, be prepared. You got to do your homework. Review the job description. Make sure you know what you want this person to accomplish the first 90 days. Should be a goal and some action steps. So you want to use that. Have your question list all prepared for you as well so that you can share that with them. So that way you're ready to go. If you do all that at the last minute and then rush into an interview, the best candidates are interviewing you, and you're just going to come across rush unprepared, and they go, are you kidding? I don't want to work with this person. Second thing is make sure the interview is professional. Make sure that you're asking the questions that need to be asked. Don't do a 5-minute interview and say, we'll get back to you someday, somehow. Most interviews are going to be 30 to 60 minutes long. And you start off with a little small talk. Ask them a few questions. Allow them to ask you some questions. You ask some more questions. And then you sum up at the end. And then give next steps. That's a professional interview. Okay? And then here's the other thing. I had an interview one time. They had 10 people on the interview board. And that's overkill. I think we don't need to have more than 3 to 4. And if you're going to have more than a couple people there, let them know that you're going to do that ahead of time. You want people to be comfortable in an interview. Why? When they get comfortable, you'll see their real self. You don't want them intimidated. 3, ask open-ended questions and probe based on their answers. So we may say, tell me about a project that you were in charge of. How did you move forward to win on that project? And then you might have to probe a little bit. You got those questions on your list, see? And you have some open-ended questions, informational questions, background, and so forth. Then you have behavioral-oriented questions that you'll put on the list, and then you go through. You may ask others than this, but remember, the law considers the interview as a test, and we need to give similar questions to all candidates, even though we'll have a few different ones based on how they respond. Listen for specifics, not just what they say, but what they don't say. What you need to get a picture of as an interview is like a videotape of this person doing the job and how they answer the questions. If you say, what things do you want to work on? And they go, well, I'm always trying to get better and I'm doing my best job I can. As opposed to say, one of the things I want to work on is my communication. And I took an online course related to that and how to present to groups. And I'm reading a book entitled, see the difference in the 2 answers? See what I'm saying there? So that's what we've got to be able to do. And, focus on what they say top of mind, just as not as when we get into the detail. Few other things. Number 5, look for keys to their talent. What are the results that they've achieved, the learning that they've achieved, their challenges that they've overcome, maybe some mistakes and failures that they had, but what they learned from it. That's what we're looking for from people. Their fulfillment, and ask some questions related to that. Ask them, what brings satisfaction out of your work, and see how they respond to that. Are they getting into those keys I just described? That's the depth of what we're looking for. When we're looking for top talent in what we do, part of it's the pay that we offer, but the other part is we want them to be able to describe to us their achievement, moving forward, making a contribution. So a question you could ask related to that, what are your goals? And see how they respond. Most people don't have goals. Now that's not top talent. Top talent have goals. They know where they're going, what they want to achieve. And then of course you're looking for, do their goals fit with what you need in this position? So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at. Ask them, what are your special talents? What are your limitations? And then, we get them talking throughout the interview. And then the last interview tip is this. Put the person on the spot with behavioral questions. Let's say you're hiring somebody for a supervisory position. So you ask them a question. Think of a time you had a poor performing employee. Now, asking that kind of question will put someone on the spot because you'd like to think as a leader we don't have any poor performing people. But we do. So now you're asking them. So think of a time you had a poor performing employee. How did you handle that and what was the outcome? That's a behavioral question. So now, based on their answer, we should be able to see how they can handle that based on their answer. And they either know it or they don't. They can't fake that. They either did it well or they did it poorly. You see what I'm getting at here? These 7 tips, as we focus on our relationship with people in the interview, can help us identify the best talent and make a better decision in terms of what we do. And by the way, I've alluded to 3 types of questions, actually 2, but I'll give you a third in the interview process. Informational, which is background and personal characteristics, and the behavioral, which are job specific and relate to the on-the-job priorities that you have in the job description and for the goals of that position. That's what we're after. You want to avoid all the questions that relate to marital status, number of children, race, religion, national origin, height, weight, and all those kinds of things because they're wrong. And then let me just say this. People can do incredible things. And yet, if we do our homework and we dig in, considering these 7 tips, you may be able to find some gems. For example, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job. Now, whoever fired her must have been nuts. Well, maybe it wasn't a good job fit, but we all know Oprah went on to be she's a billionaire and one of the most widely recognized TV personalities in the world. The talent is there. Our job is to find it through a professional interview process. These tips come from our book, Superstar Leadership, and our Superstar Leadership Model. I have this dream that soars on golden wings. I visualize your achievement and your legacy that sings. I do not know all about your awesome goals or your persistent effort to raise the bar. I only know that you're the best, a superstar. Thanks for coming.